All right, we are recording. I am going to try not to cough too much directly into the mic and into your ears.
Maybe that's like a new form of ASMR.
The worst kind ever. I got the black lung
That's
pop.
not what your cough sounds like.
No, it doesn't.
It's pretty brutal.
All right, guys, welcome to the Evan and Katelyn podcast. Now coming to you from our new cleaned up room.
Without wires running
across it. Yeah, now you guys that are watching, the video signal is like going up through the wall, through our attic, down through this other wall, then over to here and us.
Yep.
Yay!
It's awesome.
It's awesome.
Great.
All right, guys, we have a good podcast lined up for you today. We're going to be talking about YouTube versus TV. We have a very interesting talk with Jimmy Diresta, and we also have a little Storytime segment.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was trying not to cough. I'm suppressing it.
I was like, are you okay? Yeah, so a lot of you probably already know who Jimmy Diresta is.
Mm-hmm. He's kind of like the godfather of like making on YouTube. He was one of the first people to really dive in and build up a big audience in it. He has a very unique and distinct style. It's a lot of like fast-forwarded chipmunk type sounds and things going on where he's just building ridiculous things using all of the experience that he's gathered over the years. And I think the most impressive thing to me is how he just has this vision in his head and he just realizes it with whatever materials are in front of him, and seeing him like think through the process even without him saying a word really comes across in his videos.
He does so much on the fly.
Oh, yeah.
Which, to me, that terrifies me because I am very much a planner. And, like, of course, I know things don't always go well, but I have to go in with a plan. And he's very much more freeform.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to watch him build stuff. Especially, like, sometimes because he doesn't talk, like, there's the little bit, it's almost like watching primitive technology in a way where you're like,
guessing game.
Yeah, it's like a guessing game. And you're like, what is that going to be? Why is he doing that? Oh.
Yeah, so we first met Jimmy at a secretive camp. I don't know.
That sounds so sketchy. That sounds like we're part of a cult.
We aren't?
Oh, I mean,
we got our cards in the mail. No, but I don't know. I don't know if it's publicized. It's like an invite-only event put on by some companies up in Chicago, and it's hosted at the Google campus, and it's a really great group of people that shows up every year. A whole bunch of really creative people from all different industries, and there are no like scheduled talks. You just like everyone volunteers their knowledge, and everyone signs up for these talks and rooms, and it's really organic.
It's like a big free-for-all.
It's an unconference, if you guys have heard of that before. It's like doing a conference, but in the opposite way or something.
Yeah. It's like an anti-conference conference.
Yeah.
And like crazy stuff happens. Like one of the memories that stands out in my mind is there was a taxidermy class, which I will say I did not go to, but Jimmy did.
He loved it?
He loved it. He taxidermied a rat, a tiny rat. And he was showing it off. He had in a little to-go container. I wonder whatever happened to that rat.
I don't know. We'll have to ask him sometime. Yeah. But also, it's like the great thing is it was like by the time the taxidermy class let out, it was probably like 11 at night or midnight. And someone had ordered pizza in. And then Jimmy like did a little impromptu lesson about how to design packaging using like one of the pizza boxes. And he was designing packaging a little box for his new taxidermied rat.
Next to the pizza.
Yeah, next to the pizza. Oh.
Yeah. So it was really cool getting to, I mean, we've had lots of awesome conversations with Jimmy at this point. We've been on, he does a podcast with Bob from I Like to Make Stuff and David Picciuto from Make Something, and we've been on their podcast a couple times.
Yep.
So it was cool having Jimmy on ours.
Yeah, and we always see him at all these events. It's so funny. It's like recently, I think we've seen our maker friends and like the maker family that we're kind of becoming part of. We've seen them more than our friends and family sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we just got back from an event, actually. It's part of the reason your voice is gone.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I'm going to let Katelyn like carry this whole podcast.
Thanks. Yeah, no, we just got back from Spring Make, and it was interesting because we go to a lot of conferences, and this one was interesting because it was very hands-on. Like, I didn't really know what to expect. I knew there would be some workshops. Yeah, we made a knife. We both, well, you made the knife. But then my arm was so sore from blacksmithing, but we both blacksmithed these little like curly Q S hooks. Brett from Skull and Spades helped us with those. And it was super cool. But I will say, because there was so much going on, especially in the metal shop, and by the time we were making the knife, I was like, I gotta go breathe other air. But you were staying in there because you were grinding the knife and sharpening the knife.
Yeah, they need to get like a breathing mask sponsor for next year.
RZ mask, hit them up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's why your throat is worse than mine. I'm still a little scratchy, but you are. We'll see if we make it through the podcast. I'll just say that.
Yeah. So one reason we wanted to talk to Jimmy in particular about TV versus YouTube is he has some of the most experience with both of anyone we know. He actually got his start in the public sphere on TV, and he's done about like 3 or 4 TV shows now, or 5. He's done a lot.
Yeah, he's done edit in the correct answer.
Yeah.
The current one is Making It. It's a show on NBC. It's hosted by Amy Poehler and Nick Offerman. And it's like a maker competition show. And so Jimmy's like the shop guy on the show.
Yeah.
And he just finished filming season 2. And there are apparently a lot of differences between season 1 and season 2. In season 1, it was interesting because like he got cut from a lot of scenes. And there was like a Jimmy fan base outrage.
Yeah, like the community kind of started this hashtag Where's Jimmy, and they kind of like flooded the Making It social media spheres with the Where's Jimmy hashtag.
Where's Jimmy? Yeah.
And then they actually kind of brought him in more. That showed the power of the YouTube community, the community that Jimmy had, and I think that hopefully season 2 reflects that feedback a little bit.
Yeah, it's going to be super interesting to see, especially because he'll talk about some of the behind the scenes, like on their podcast.
Yeah.
But it's just going to be really interesting to see it in real life, like how it turned out versus season 1.
All right. Well, without further ado, let's jump into the interview. Wait, that rhymed. Did it?
Well, yeah.
Without
Good job.
further ado, let's jump into the interview.
I think you need to be like, without further ado, let's jump into the interview. Like, you have to emphasize the view.
I don't have that much energy right now.
Okay, we'll just jump into it. So we recently started doing, it's not really vlogs, but we started doing like a series of less formal videos. And we call them E&K Tuesdays. And we went back and forth so much about like, do we put it on a second channel? Do we keep it on our main channel and differentiate? And I know you kept yours on the same channel. And now that you've been doing the Diresta vlogs for a super long time, I'm curious, looking back, are you glad you kept it on the same channel? Or
I am, because I know I've seen other YouTubers like John Hayes is a good example, who runs around and has too many channels. I love his content. I never know where to find it consistently. He's said videos, this is where you find this, and this is, but that's not enough.
Yeah.
As you can't say one thing one time and expect everybody. You got to say one thing 50 times, and that's still not enough for everybody that listens to you to understand, to get it, or even see it.
Yeah.
So I try and keep my messaging tight and succinct. Where can I find you? Go to my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, well, if you want this, go to that. And if you want to know about my car rides that I do, go to that channel. That's the one where the logo's blue. You want to know, that's where the logo's green. That's where I talk about going outside. One channel, the viewers will either like everything you do.
Yeah.
My vlogs obviously don't get nearly as many views as some of my build videos. They'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And you try and title things succinctly so people can see it and know what it is.
Yeah.
It's got I assume my fans know that when there's a number beside my name, that's the number episode of the vlog.
Yeah.
So they see Diresta 82, that's my next vlog. I'm not into the vlogs. I don't need to see that. I don't even need to. So it's enough.
One theory that we've had that I guess you've had more time to maybe see if this is the case, but I think that sometimes also the audience that would really like to build up is the audience that would like to watch all of our stuff. And, but also, some things aren't for some people. But the people who would unsubscribe just because you do a vlog, are those a long-term audience that you want to have anyways?
Well, you can't really control people's emotions.
Yeah.
It's we just got to do what we do. And the people that really love us and accept us for everything we do, we're just grateful for those people.
Yeah.
The world is very temperamental, including us. We are too. Think of the times when you're like, that's it. I'm not waiting on this line anymore at this store. I'm done. I'm never coming here again.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing. It's like, oh, another vlog? When are you going to build something? And you just got to do the best you can with what you got.
Yeah.
You know, I always tell people, and it's easy for me because I got 1.5 million subscribers. Don't chase the views. Don't chase the subscribers. Just be honest and have fun.
Yeah.
Because that's what will attract the people that you probably really want.
Yeah. I do feel like we're kind of in a transition phase a little bit right now and we've been in transition since we started the channel, going like less and less tutorial and more just like as entertainment, you know?
Yeah.
And not really talking about what we're doing, just having fun.
Mm-hmm.
And the project's more of an excuse. But I do see that like I feel like if we had stuck to just strictly tutorial videos, it might have been easier to grow because those seem to be more up to a point because those seem to be more consistent. And now like we do throw in some wildcard videos,
right.
And it seems like they don't perform as well, but the comments are like so extremely positive on them.
Right.
So it's interesting because it seems like, and I don't know if you see this, like when you kind of throw in a curveball or vlogs, but like it seems like sometimes when the views are lower, the people that do comment on those are like the true mega fans.
Well, it is funny because sometimes I'll see a video that I would expect more performance on, and I'm a little bummed that it didn't do better. But then you read the comments like, "This is the favorite thing I've ever seen. My most favorite thing you've ever done."
Yeah,
And then you're like, you know what? That's really why I did it.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it to chase the numbers.
Yeah, that makes it a lot better when you're like, well, I had so much fun with this video and it didn't do well, but
you got to think of videos like days of your life.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're gonna have great days, and sometimes you're gonna have mediocre days. Sometimes you're gonna have really crummy days. So
yeah,
and every video is gonna have its own existence in this world. And if you're gonna make a lot of them, some are gonna be good by the field of odds. Some are gonna be good, some are gonna be middle, some are gonna be bad.
Just like photography, just take a lot of photos, and eventually you're gonna get something okay.
And then, there are guys that hit it every time, and they have a formula that's rare, but I think if you're somewhere in the middle, or on your way to the middle, that's a pretty good goal.
Well, I think one thing that's really unique about YouTube is we get all of that feedback. We get all of this information that we can either ignore or take with us or anything like that, and that lets us, know what we're doing a little bit more than TV might. Do you see that?
It's like real time feedback.
Yeah.
Because I used to do the HGTV shows. And then I'd have to go to the messaging board, and people would be mean to me. And then if I commented on the messaging board, I'd look like a psychopath stalking myself. So I'd have to pretend like I wasn't reading them.
Yeah.
And then it's like, could you believe what he did when he did that? And I want to be like, oh, if I comment, I'm going to look like a nutcase reading the comment section.
Yeah, you can't win.
Yeah.
So you were able to kind of find comments for TV shows.
Yeah. And
I didn't even know that existed.
It seemed like this. It seemed like the comment section for TV shows that were on like the HGTV sites and stuff and DIY sites was specifically for people to be mean.
Wow.
Because all you ever got were people commiserating together about how much they hated certain things about the show. At least that's what I recall.
Well, but maybe that's because they don't know that the creator is going to see it.
Huh?
I think they wanted us to see.
Oh my gosh. Oh man.
It was all public information. It was right there. Follow this link to the comment boards.
Wow.
But now I don't have to worry. I guess there are still comment boards, but for us, they're right there under the thing.
Yeah, and we have control over them. If
people know that we're engaged.
Yeah.
And it's much more acceptable. Like, hey, Jimmy, what did you use when you did that? Oh, what I did was this.
Yeah.
You're an idiot. I don't know why you would have used that. Block, delete.
Good day.
Block, delete.
Yeah.
So many times I go to block, delete. I want to try and defend myself, and I just go block, delete, and then it'll be like, "Hey, you deleted my comment," and then he's like, "You delete comments, delete."
So do you think that TV could learn some things from YouTube?
Yeah, I think TV business is shaking in their shoes because we're so organic. We don't spend money; we make money. We spend no money; we make a lot of money, and the fan base is. I'll tell you an experience. The fan base is so much more engaged with us on TV. It's almost like it's like empty. TV's empty calories, and we're like health food.
It makes you just think of the "Where's Jimmy" hashtag on all of the videos.
Yes.
Oh my god!
Yeah. Oh my god!
Oh, it's like the power.
Yeah, that's really. It was exciting, and I'd like to say that I thought of that. I don't know. It was Jackman was a big part of it. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah.
He had an interview with them. I think to be on the show, and I think he wrote, "Is Jimmy going to be on the show?"
I'm so curious to I'm just so curious to see the lineup for
It's a lot
the
of, they're
next
picking
season.
a lot from the
Yeah.
YouTube crew.
Well, what's
That's
going to be really
interesting.
interesting is I wonder if they learned some lessons from season 1
I
that
think
they'll
they
wrap
did.
into season
I got
2.
a really nice email from one of the line producers, or from one of the, I should say, segment producers,
Yeah.
who said, we didn't use you enough, and there's so much good footage that we got to watch in the edit that we didn't get a chance to use.
Wow.
This year we
Interesting.
want to use more of that content.
Yeah.
Of you in the shop giving lessons.
Yeah.
And then all the digital stuff I did with Nick was fun. I mean,
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
one thing with Nick, and then the tips videos were a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they want to try to exploit that more, and which is good because that's my comfort zone.
Well, I think another
Yeah.
thing, whenever I see TV shows recycling TV content to YouTube, it doesn't do well. But if they do exclusive,
Yeah.
extra content, that really gets some traction on YouTube, and
Yeah.
that might help the show more than the recycled
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, it's funny because the TV production company, making it specifically, they shot a whole bunch of stuff, and they edited what they edited, and then that's what they had.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
were kind of stuck with like 6 things to constantly keep showing. The 8 contestants they showed over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if you had an ongoing YouTube channel with a little bit more
Ooh, yeah.
of an emphasis on trying to make fresh content, even between seasons, you could do a lot of work.
Yeah, that would be so interesting to see a competition style show similar to that was on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and was uploading I'm sure they couldn't do it in exact real time because stuff like that would take more editing, but like more real time than TV would be, so they could take
Yeah.
live feedback and adjust. But that would be super interesting.
Or another thing is, let's say that it's a, TV, it seems like it needs to be a competition. They just really want the competition. But what
It
if
doesn't seem like everything has to be a competition.
everything, but like what if everyone stayed on the whole time and like they got a cumulative score that's revealed at the end or something like
Right.
that? You know?
But people didn't have to get kicked
People didn't
off.
have to get kicked off. And it's
Yeah,
like, hey, let's
well,
all hang out, let's all
unfortunately-
build.
Well, I think what we're doing is going to change that ultimately.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know I don't have a specific example, but I guess one example is I was approached by a television company and they said, hey, isn't it, we love these, because they were following through they were following along on Instagram about one of the classes we were doing last
Yeah.
fall. This is great. We really love what you're doing. What if we did a TV show where you do the classes and then at the end somebody wins?
Yeah.
And I said, no, it's not about that. I said, here's a really great idea. Why don't you come and just do a documentary style episode
Yeah.
about the show? And at the end,
Yeah.
all 8 people on the show or on the lesson plan will each talk about what they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then everyone
No
wins.
one has to get voted off
Yeah.
the island.
Yeah. And then I didn't hear anything. But I said, I am absolutely not going to sanction anything where somebody loses and somebody wins. I
Yeah.
said, because that's not about that. This is totally not about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So do you think that eventually TV might become more of that? And it's because it seems like YouTube is getting more and more companies involved, more and more high production content onto YouTube that's doing pretty well. Do you think that eventually they'll merge some a little bit, or do you think they're going to stay quite separate?
I think they'll stay separate because there's still so many archaic thought process still involved with television.
Yeah.
The money waste on set is just crazy.
Yeah.
Like, we have to do this. Like they have to build sets and elaborate sets, and nobody really cares.
Yeah.
Just do a green screen and a tabletop.
But what,
Yeah.
what do you think when someone from like the YouTube world who understands this somehow gets a position at one of these production companies and they become the production company to go to make
I
these
don't
hit
think there is
shows
anybody at YouTube that really knows that, because we are all those people.
yeah.
Yes, I
And
mean,
then we don't want to move over.
Yeah, none of us wanna
that's
go to
true.
TV.
You know what I
It's
mean?
like, this is
Exactly.
nice. Let's just stay here.
it's like we are just a bunch of ants in a maze, and
Yeah.
the people at YouTube are just like, oh, these ants are doing a good job. Any of those executives aren't one of the ants.
Yeah.
You know, they're not. I mean, not to badmouth the people at YouTube, because they provide a great service for all of us, but if there's anybody at YouTube, I mean, maybe they understand content management. I don't know. I think the real creative aspect of what comes out of the content on YouTube is the creators.
Yeah.
Well, you know what they
Like,
should do?
I talk to all my
Yeah.
YouTube managers, and they're all like, well, you need to change your thumbnails better. You know, like, they give us like mundane information. It's not like, you know what's going to do good? Build a lock. That'll do good. That'll get 2 million views in a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't know that.
But like,
Yeah.
They're like, your thumbnails, I mean, can you freshen up your thumbnails? You need
Yeah.
to put mid-rolls in, because that helps us more than it helps you. You know what I mean?
I think they have set answers that need to be communicated
Yeah.
to all of us, and I think they kind of have a bit of a script and can't really go outside of that. Is like the feeling I
It
get.
seems like it,
talking.
right? I mean, like, now, like, no offense to my content manager, but I don't even really need to talk to them because I get nothing new out of it.
Well, you know what I think that they should do? Everyone who wants to become a content manager, they need to start a YouTube channel and they need to make at least one video and publish it.
Right.
And see what that's like.
Yeah.
You know, like go through all of that.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think you need to update your thumbnails and your descriptions aren't great. I'm like, nobody reads the fucking description.
Well, but also there's content producers out there, like, I mean, Jenna Marbles is an example outside of reality for most people, but she doesn't.
18 million subscribers.
Yeah, 18 million subscribers. She doesn't need to have anything in her description, but her description is the same in almost every single video.
Like
she does
Casey's
no tags,
is the
like
same.
Casey's.
Casey doesn't put a description. Ever. It just says one thing or two things.
Yeah.
He's got somebody on, he has that YouTube channel. That's it.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
So it's like people who break the rules oftentimes.
Well, it's like there are a lot, and especially, you know, being somewhere like we are here right now at this conference, and people are doing classes on best practices and things like that. And you can follow all these best practices, but at the same time, that's taking away time from what your core thing is.
I say, you know,
videos.
like Nick Offerman said it best. He said, whatever you were made fun of in high school, that's what you should accentuate and work on when you're an adult. That's whatever makes you weird. Is what makes you unique.
Yeah.
That's good advice.
That's what YouTube is. All of us doing our own weird, quirky things, learning in time. You know, at least in our category of videos, learning while we do, and sharing our learning with everybody. But at the same time, being our weird, crazy, kooky selves.
Yeah.
Because also that's the one thing that you have. Because if you try to like say, hey, this person's doing well, let's copy that. What are you going to be? You're going to be not as original,
a
watered down version of the other channel. You know.
Yeah. Well, I think it is hard, like the idea of putting yourself out there and putting those quirks out there on the internet for the internet to critique. So I think
especially
that's why
if it was what
don't.
you were made fun of in middle school. It's like,
yeah, I think it is harder. But yeah, there's just so much noise out there. It's the best way to make yourself unique because it's automatically unique because it's you being you.
Well, one thing you said that there's a video that you might have made that you thought was going to go huge and it didn't. What was that video?
I thought I made videos where I made a cannon on a lathe. I made two videos about a year apart of cannons that I've made.
Yeah.
And I thought those were going to be viral. I don't even know if they broke 1 million yet, but I made that padlock a couple weeks ago. That's at 2 million. I made the canoe 35 minutes long. That's at 2 million. I couldn't believe it.
That canoe, that's crazy.
I just didn't expect
maybe
it.
that cannon is dangerous content.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to check it.
It's being suppressed by the algorithm because it's
Is that
a
true?
weapon.
Does that happen?
It might.
Well,
we
have theories.
No, it might
but
be.
So during
well, we can tell them about our cannon.
Yeah, our cannon video.
We thought that was going to be our epic one. We're like, weapons do well.
Like a potato cannon.
Yeah, it was like a propane cannon.
Yeah.
We shot 3D printed bullets and stuff, and it was awesome. The cops like pulled us over. And we were like,
slow
this is gonna be
motion.
such a good video.
It's like cops, slow motion explosions, see-through
and it
things.
bombed, but it got demonetized originally, and we asked for a review, and then it got re-monetized. But
then a year later, we got an email saying your video has been manually approved.
Even though we had gotten like an approval back when we submitted it, a year later, just recently, we got an email saying that the cannon was approved, even though
you've been making money on it.
It had been approved. So we're like, there's weird back end stuff going on, and we think it was because we had words like cannon and gun.
Yeah,
and
we
stuff.
had gun in there originally, which was so ill-advised.
But we had it because it was like potato gun,
Yeah.
So
yeah, right. I just found out I have a shot. It's my third most viewed video from 10 months ago. It's 11 million views of where I put the shotgun shells down the spine of like the butt of a rifle.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
awesome.
And in that video, I shot it just at the end 2 times, just like not shooting anything, just like you see the action. And that video, I just noticed last night. I was sitting with Bobby Duke, and I'm like, oh, I never get demonetized. And I looked through the workshop, the YouTube, the mobile app.
Yeah, the studio.
Yeah,
studio, and it's demonetized.
Well,
what?
was it last week?
Warning?
Was it last week?
No, it's now the money sign is yellow.
Yeah, but did it turn last week?
Did it happen last week?
It happened in like recently.
Okay, so there's a thing going on YouTube that some people don't know about. Recently, a channel made a video exposing like how videos with children in them have content that might not be good, and the comments aren't great. And then everyone started tagging the brands that had ads in front of those videos. And then all of those brands started pulling and pausing their campaigns. YouTube freaked out and they demonetized thousands and thousands and thousands of videos, deleted 400 channels, disabled comments on hundreds and hundreds of videos.
People are calling it apocalypse too.
Yeah.
Like
I didn't even notice.
just recently happened.
Yeah.
Let me see if the comments are shut off, because the comments are very, 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 very divisive. Because you got people yelling at me, yelling at each other that this is a horrible idea.
Well, and also the big uproar from the YouTube community is YouTube stated on Twitter that they might demonetize videos for comments in the videos.
Oh,
Which
my.
is
not
crazy
the
because
video
you don't have
content
control
itself.
over that.
Yeah. And now people are like, oh, great.
I mean, you can just hide them all, but
now we can go attack channels by leaving comments on them. You know, you can hurt a channel
You
by
could just
leaving.
mob
11
a
million
channel.
views. Look at that. It says negative constructive criticism. Who put that hashtag on there? I didn't do that.
You didn't?
No.
other people
What?
can tag your videos with hashtags.
No, there it is.
Oh.
You did
I did do
hashtag.
that.
Well, the funny thing is people could write hashtag and a word in it in the past, and then YouTube added the feature of hashtags and all these videos where people put
Even if people were doing like joking hashtags.
Now they're actually
That's what I
official.
did.
They're in there.
Yeah.
I
So
put
now
this
it's
up
actually hashtags.
February 10th. This video is 1 year old.
Wow.
I thought it was less than that, but yeah.
But yeah, it does feel like sometimes there's back end stuff suppressing certain videos.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a moving target because YouTube
Yeah.
keeps on changing what is acceptable, and it's in response to the community.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on to our podcast.
Awesome.
Yeah. This is
Good
fun.
luck, guys.
Alrighty.
Bye.
By the way, it's been great watching you guys grow and do
Oh,
your
thank
thing
you.
and come out of nowhere. You guys are a great example of how do I get started? Just go out there and do it.
Let's do
Thank
it.
you.
That's it.
Figure it out as you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Welcome back to now. I was about to
this
say
is the
like,
last of our interviews that we recorded all at WorkbenchCon.
yeah, that's crazy.
We've tried to spread them out so it wasn't like an overload all at once.
All right. So
Welcome back to now.
we have more thoughts about TV and YouTube. For those of you who haven't listened to it, we actually did a whole podcast around our experiences with almost having a TV show. Was that like episode 2?
I think it was episode 2. We'll link to it.
We'll link to it below. But I think that now that we've grown more on YouTube and talked to more people who have been involved with TV and YouTube in particular, we have more thoughts, and we just wanted to get into those right now.
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things is, with YouTube, you play all of the roles. Like, for
Yeah.
better or for worse, you are the director, you are the quote-unquote talent, you're the editor, you have the creative vision, everything is put together by you, and you have full control over everything.
Yeah, and it's very cohesive. You don't have the talent doing one thing, the director wanting another thing, and then the editors forcing you into another vibe or feel or anything like that.
And I think one of the biggest similarities we've heard between so many people's TV stories is about that lack of control. Like, they go into it thinking it's going to be one thing, and then either because of a miscommunication or a contract loophole or whatever it is, ends up being totally different.
But interestingly, we've actually heard positive things about that exact same thing. Some people love just showing up, doing their job, and leaving, and they leave all the rest of the decisions and editing and everything like that up to someone else.
Yeah, that's true. We've talked to a couple of people who have experience doing social media / YouTube and TV, and that was their experience. But I think anyone would probably have a negative experience if what you went into if what you thought going into it was different than what you thought going out of it. So maybe what it comes down to is the people that had the good experiences, their expectations were met.
Yeah.
The people who had the not as good experiences, it's because expectations
weren't met. Yeah. Yeah.
And so that could be.
I guess that's a big part of it. There's a huge unknown factor because even after you're done recording, you don't know what it ends up like. I mean, even for the two of us, it's okay, going behind the scenes a little bit, after the Bob Ross painting, we thought that we had just filmed a hot mess.
Oh yeah, we thought we had filmed 4 hours, and we were like, well, let's hope 5 minutes of this is usable, because when you're filming for that long and you're not looking at the footage and you're just kind of trying to go through and do it, and in real time, your experience all of the long gaps where you're just working and maybe not having funny conversations, and you're like, man, this is boring. Like, or like, not that it is boring, but like, this seems like it is boring content.
Yeah, where most of our videos, we can craft things a little bit more, and we know that we're getting good stuff.
Although even like the video that released, well, the day we're recording the podcast, it's a couple days ago in terms of it being released for everyone listening. But the Ethernet video.
Oh yeah, going into that, we thought, oh, this is going to be really rough to make a video from this.
We're like, how are we going to make this interesting, you know? But because we do have that creative control, we're able to adjust things as needed and like figure it out for ourselves, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Which and I guess like some of the pressure would be taken off if you were on a TV show, because you know the downside is you don't have control, but the upside is you also don't have the responsibility.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't do well, it's not your fault. You know what I mean?
Yeah. For if one of our videos doesn't do well, it's all on us because we did every single part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I definitely see the pluses and minuses of it. I think for me, I'm too much of a control freak, and it would be very stressful.
Yeah.
Especially just starting out, like if you're starting a new season of a new show and there's no precedent. I think that would be a little extra stressful.
Huge amounts of unknowns, but like in an interesting way too. I almost see looking at YouTube versus TV. There's a lot of pluses and minuses, and I think that there's a lot that each can learn from each other. And then now that I said that, I love YouTube as it is. I'm not sure how much YouTube can learn from TV, but I think TV can learn a lot from YouTube. But one thing I see happening more and more now and in the future are more fully funded or more famous people from TV or movies coming into YouTube. I mean, more and more. I mean, Will Smith came in.
Jack Black.
And now like Zac Efron. He started like a channel, and it's like it's one of the fastest growing channels to like start and blow up and everything. And that's so interesting because I'm pretty sure they have teams behind all of that.
I mean, I know. So I know Will Smith does at least because he has like his camera guy and his editor and all that.
And he has his like crew that he travels with to make content with and around. And tell the story with.
But it is really interesting seeing celebrities from traditional media entering into YouTube. And it's interesting because like on one hand I'm like, oh, that's awesome. They're going to bring their traditional media audiences to YouTube, the platform, because one of the hardest things is just getting people to the platform if they're not already going to YouTube for entertainment.
And legitimizing it as a place for entertaining content.
Yeah. And so on one hand it's like, that's super awesome, but on the other hand, I do worry that like if a lot of people that already have those crazy built-up followings are going in, is that going to make it even more difficult for a quote-unquote normal person to start and grow a channel?
I think a little bit. I mean, it seems like it's getting harder and harder, but I also don't know because like
when we started, people were already saying it's getting harder and harder, and it's a crowded space, and we've managed to come as far as we've come.
Well, also I think that like and I don't know if this actually makes sense to most people, but I kind of think of like there's like different generations of YouTubers. Like there's the oldest generation, like Jenna Marbles and like
Jax Films,
all of that. And then there's like each generation after, and I feel like the generation in front of us is like Chris, Four Eyes, and
in front of us, like right before us.
Yeah, right before us.
Sorry, I never know like
right before, right after. No, it's before.
No, but when you say like
older than us,
but when you say like in front of, is that like newer or older?
The generation before us.
Okay, I always have trouble with that with like time too. If you're like, oh, it's an hour ahead, I'm like, what does that mean? I don't know why it's so hard for me to comprehend.
All right, the older, like one generation older than us.
Yeah, I think it would be like, I mean, in the maker community, like Chris from Four Eyes.
And then like one generation older than that is maybe like Ben, and one generation older than that is like Jimmy. Yeah. Jimmy's maybe a few generations ahead. Anyways, it's just interesting thinking that like
it's like what class are you in?
I feel like there's a class after us because we started over 2 years ago.
I know.
I feel like there is like the next class is
like Johnny Builds,
and like they're like the generation younger than us has started and grown significantly while we've been growing.
Yeah.
So I feel like people are still doing it. We're still seeing success out there.
Totally. But I just worry if like a bunch of if there's a huge influx of traditional media celebrities, is it going to make it even harder because they come in already with an audience?
I think not yet. I mean, if you think about the world population and how many people there are out there and how many people want that content, I think there's still so much. I mean,
that's true.
Like, oh my gosh. It's crazy.
I actually do think so too. I'm kind of playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
I think it's probably I think there's probably more benefits than drawbacks because, like I said, the hardest thing I think is getting that additional audience to YouTube. And if they're brought to YouTube, that's good for everybody.
Yeah.
Because then they'll start exploring the platform and finding new people.
Yeah. Well, also, once there's enough YouTube content to make an evening for someone, like again and again, then it's really going to replace TV because then you're like, okay, let's watch the 3 shows that have come out that I always watch and I always like, and that can be the evening TV. You know?
Well, especially now that like people's videos are getting longer too. Like, our videos are on average between 10 and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And like, especially on the higher end of that, that's a half-hour TV show if you take out the commercials. Yeah, which is interesting. One thing though, so I wonder, this is like a little bit of a turn-in topic, but I wonder if YouTube, you're just talking about YouTube taking tips from TV and TV taking tips from YouTube. I feel like I do see some parts of YouTube becoming more sensationalized, becoming more of a production, and not like sometimes, being a bigger production, that doesn't mean it's necessarily bad. There's like, Dude Perfect is like a huge production. They're also super successful. But it's interesting. And this isn't necessarily a new thing, but there's so many channels now that are just like huge productions and huge teams. And it's like insane the amount of like people and budget and all of that to put out an episode.
But I think the interesting thing too is with the YouTube algorithm and everything, it links different people with the content that they like. So if you like that highly produced stuff, you can like stay in that circle of that highly produced stuff. But if you want to stay within like the circle of like the smaller creator vibe, because I think that there is like a vibe that like the smaller creators have where it's like that very genuine connection. And some people go to YouTube just for that genuine connection,
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting to think about. And it's not that I think you can't have a genuine connection with people if you have a big production, behind your show. But it definitely does have like a more polished vibe. And there's some people who are like, I really like that. Like an example that I love is Try Guys. Yeah. Try Guys, they have a big team. There's a lot of money and planning and production work that goes into every episode. But I love them, and I still feel like you get that genuine connection. Yeah. Like that's one of my favorite channels.
I think it's like that has a lot of like, especially some episodes, like the driving episode where they had like huge production values behind that. Yeah.
Like the amount of planning and setup and testing and all
that. It
had
a lot of like TV-like elements mixed in with the YouTube genuine vibe,
Yeah.
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 It's interesting to see how it's going to continue evolving. I mean, no one really knows. It's all an experiment, and it's being decided in the moment by you guys, the viewers. My voice is continually fading as the sentence goes on.
Well, I want to, one other thing. This is looking at the opposite side. And this isn't a new show, and I have no idea where the show is now. We've only watched a few episodes of it. What was the name of that Mike Rowe show?
Dirty Jobs?
No.
Oh,
the newer one.
Yeah, the one that was on Facebook TV.
Returning the Favor?
Yeah.
So we've only watched a handful of episodes, and like I said, it's not new, but it was really interesting because it seemed like it's not really a TV show because I think it was like a Facebook exclusive, but it was still like that same production level as a professionally produced show. But it seemed like it was taking some tips from YouTube.
Yeah.
The way that...
like breaking the fifth wall and being aware of like their own, I don't know.
Yeah, it was just very self-aware, and it like... would, very often the production crew was just as much of a character as Mike Rowe was, and they would say things like, okay, now we're going to montage through it, and then something that's a really big problem is going to come up, and then we're going to struggle with it, and then everything's going to be great, and then those exact things would happen. But it was very, like, I don't know, self-aware in the way that YouTube stuff is often self-aware.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I can see some things from YouTube, like, making their way into TV.
All right, quick question for you.
Okay.
Changing topics completely. Looking back at our channel, one thing we talked to Jimmy about during the interview is first channel, second channel, vlogs, mixing them together and all of that. Looking back, do you think that we should have created a second channel? Because we have had some interesting success with starting side channels. I mean, we have Evan and Katelyn Gaming, we have the podcast. Those are doing well.
Well, we have a second channel.
Oh, we do. But like, should we have put our vlogs on the second channel? Because I think that one of the biggest problems we had was we don't like waste that effort and put it on a smaller channel, but also you'll never grow the smaller channel if you don't put that out there. But like Jimmy said, if you have too many channels, then it's like, where do people know where to go, you know?
I think, okay. So just to fill people in case they haven't known, in the videos we're talking about, I'm assuming you're talking about the E&K Tuesdays?
E&K Tuesdays, which we haven't done one recently in a long time.
We've only done like 3 of them. We, a little bit ago, like late last year, started a thing called E&K Tuesdays. I think we only did 3, and it was basically like, our main videos come out Friday, and we thought Tuesdays, every now and then we could put out a more casual video, and it'll be like a thing. It's more casual.
Yeah.
And, the videos would get about half of the normal views we were getting, which was kind of expected. And they did get generally good comments and good feedback because the people watching them are the people that like are bigger fans of the channel.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be like a project-based video, but it was just a lot less people. I still think it's good that we put them on the main channel, but I think if I redid it,
I know, it's tough.
I would want to put more effort into them. Because I think the thing is, because we're like, oh, they're E&K Tuesdays, it's not that we like didn't put effort into them, but
we didn't put as much time.
We didn't put as much time as we would a normal video.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not really sure exactly what I would change specifically, but I don't think putting them on the second channel makes sense.
I think so too. Well, I have a very interesting thought around this.
Okay, what's your thought?
So I am really glad that we did the Evan and Katelyn Tuesdays, though, because I think we learned a lot. We realized that we can make entertaining content from the two of us just hanging out and everything. And I think that as we've continued to evolve our content in new ways and realize that like one of the main things that we're bringing to the table is just entertaining content, people pick up little things here and there, we've been able to kind of marry some of the casualness of the Evan and Katelyn Tuesday with our main content. They're kind of merging more. Like, I think the content we're putting out now is a mix of that Evan and Katelyn Tuesday and the more project-based videos that we did when we started.
Maybe that's why we haven't done or like felt the need to do more Evan and Katelyn Tuesdays,
so.
Because like we have made the main project videos a little bit more casual. Yeah. But I think like with a second channel, like I think with the podcast and gaming, 100% makes sense to have it on a different channel because it's a totally different topic, different format, different everything. But it almost feels like the second channel is just a place for less good main channel type content or less finished main channel type content.
Yeah.
And it's like every now and then I think it makes sense. Like when we did the April Fool's video.
That was so good.
Like I wanted to share it, but I wasn't sure if it made sense on the main channel. Like I didn't want people to go into it thinking it was an actual project video and then being disappointed. But for the E&K Tuesdays or similar type content, I would rather like make it good enough to be on the main channel or just not do it. So I'm still glad that we kept it on the main channel, I think. I don't know what's going to happen with the second channel. It's like the neglected like fourth child that we forget about. Just like you were like, do you regret not starting a second channel?
I forgot that we have a second channel, which is just like neglected.
You forgot about that child. But yeah, I don't know. It is interesting to think about. Okay, so now I'm going to change the topic.
What's that?
So after doing the infomercial for the Ethernet video, it reminded me of a story that I wanted to tell.
Okay, do tell. Oh, does this mean it's story time?
Do we have a song for that? A jingle?
That was the jingle.
Okay.
That was the jingle. That's the Storytime jingle now.
Okay. This infomercial is not my first adventure into bad commercials. So when I was in 5th grade, I was in a drama class, and I had one of my most embarrassing moments in
I've
that
heard
class.
the story
I know
before.
You've heard the story.
9 lives. Oh wait, I shouldn't jump ahead.
Yes, it is 9 lives. So we had to come up with a made-up commercial that we would perform in front of the class, and I don't remember the criteria for like picking the subject matter. I think it had to be a real product. I don't know, but I picked 9 lives cat food because I've always been an old cat lady at heart. And so I worked with my dad to come up with something because like I had no idea what to write for this, and like being funny was hard. I was a very quiet kid. I wasn't like super oh my God, why am I blanking? Extroverted. I kept wanting to say exothermal, like exothermal reaction.
Exothermic.
Oh God.
Words are hard, baby. Words are hard.
Words are hard. Okay, I wasn't super extroverted, and my dad's like pretty like funny guy, or so I thought. So,
would you no longer think anymore?
well, I had doubts after this experience. So we wrote up this whole commercial and I practiced it. I'm going to try my best to rehearse it now.
Yes. Do your 14-year-old self justice?
No, this was much younger. This was like 10 or 11.
No.
It's fifth grade, whatever fifth grade age is. Okay, so picture like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, kitten mittens type vibe. So I had some Beanie Babies. So I had a dog Beanie Baby and a cat Beanie Baby and a can of 9 Lives cat food.
And you're just presenting in front of your entire class.
I'm presenting in front of my class. I brought my props. I was prepared. And it was like, is your cat tearing up the furniture? Is your dog chewing on your shoes? And then I threw in some random stuff, and it was like, is your cat... Oh, God, I can't even remember. But it was like, like when you're trying to be funny and you just think of random things, and then you're like, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's like early internet humor.
Yeah, it's like early YouTube humor. Does your cat look like it just ate a surfboard? You just think of like random stuff and put it together. And I had a few more things like that just kept getting more and more ridiculous with the cat and the dog. And then it was like, well, why don't you put on your glasses? And I put on my glasses to demonstrate and stop feeding them. And then I looked what was actually in my hand. And I said, soap? Because I was holding a bar of soap. And start feeding them 9 Lives cat food. Then your pets can also be normal. And then the dog meowed. And I went, meow, my Beanie Baby dog. And then I said, well, almost normal. And by this point,
You were so committed.
I was so committed, but like, all my jokes were falling flat. There was blank faces.
There's no like chuckles.
There's no chuckles. It was blank faces in the audience. My whole class was staring at me. And I just remember when I got to the part that like, well, almost normal, I was like trying not to break down in front of everyone. So I was like, well, almost normal.
Oh no!
I was so mad, and I was so mad at my dad.
Oh my gosh! So you practiced in front of him, and he thought it was pretty hilarious.
Oh, he like wrote it.
Oh yeah.
Well, we wrote it together, but he encouraged my terrible humor, thinking like all that random stuff was funny. And so I had practiced a bunch. So I came back and I was so pissed off at him. I was like, I thought this was going to be funny. It flopped. I was so mad.
You led me astray.
But I feel like now I was able to filter all of that good energy into...
Katelyn, you were just ahead of your time.
I was ahead of my time. That was pre-YouTube, man. That was like a good 10 years before YouTube. I would have been great.
Great. Yeah, like I could see a viral video like that happening. It's like some dad filming his daughter saying well, put on your glasses and stop feeding your cat soap.
And start feeding them 9 Lives cat food.
That's great.
I need to get 9 Lives to sponsor us. Yeah, no, it was it was very traumatizing. It was one of my most embarrassing moments.
Well, but your dad traumatizes you and embarrasses you all the time. All the time. I just love the story of when y'all were out to eat somewhere, and he was making a complete mess on his side of the table with sauce or something.
It wasn't on his side. It was at an Italian restaurant, and at some Italian places they bring out the bread and there's olive oil to dip it in. And so at this place, there's a little dish, and you would pour your own olive oil and vinegar. Mm-hmm. And my dad has this flair. Whenever he does anything in the kitchen, he's got this flair. I'm like, if you're not watching the video, I'm flicking my wrist violently.
Yeah.
And so he's it was me and Dad at the restaurant, and he was like putting the olive oil and vinegar into the little dish, and with the balsamic vinegar, he does this flare thing,
splashes it all over the place.
Splashes all over on my side of the table because I'm sitting across from him, and there were like people from my school working at that restaurant. This was in high school. And like the guy who was our waiter, I recognized him from our school. He was like a couple grades ahead of me, but I like recognized him, and I was like, oh my God. And he comes, and my dad calls him over after he like does his little flare balsamic shake, and it goes all over my side of the table, and he goes, I'm sorry, can we get a new tablecloth? My daughter's a pig. I was like, oh.
And after that, you never went out to dinner with him again.
Not without someone else to defend me.
Yeah.
No, but you know another story that he just told me that I blocked out. So I've never told you the story.
Oh, wow.
I was at the mall shopping with him, and I don't remember what we were shopping for. I didn't go on many shopping trips with Dad because he would notoriously like put a timer on and be like, okay, you have this many minutes, and that would give me horrible anxiety.
Because Katelyn likes, she's very...
I like to take my time and be sure about my decisions.
It's spending money, and you had to make sure you're spending it right.
Yeah, I had to make sure I was spending it right. And so, anyways, we were leaving the store, and we were in like a department store, and we were walking by the dressing rooms. And I'm telling this is him telling me this story. I have literally no memory of this.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe some vague flashbacks now that he told me, but I don't know. So we're walking by the dressing rooms, and he goes, oh, Katelyn, hold on one sec. And he runs. He's like, wait for me for a sec. So I'm waiting outside the dressing rooms. He runs in, and I'm like, what is he doing? And then he yells as loud as he can, Katelyn, can you bring me some toilet paper? And then like one of the ladies from the store comes, and she's like, sir, that's the ladies' dressing room. Like legit concerned that he was using the restroom.
Oh no.
And apparently I just like walked away. I literally don't remember that story. But
You didn't acknowledge that you were the Katelyn that he was asking
I
for.
probably just like, no, I probably did not. I probably pretended like I didn't know what was going on.
I do not know this person. Goodbye.
Dad had like top level embarrassing skills.
He was a troll.
Yeah, my dad is. He's still a troll.
That's awesome. I don't really remember too many embarrassing stories.
Maybe your parents didn't go out of their way to embarrass you.
Or, you know what it probably is? I have a horrible memory.
Yeah, there's that.
I should ask my parents for some embarrassing stories. Yeah. And then I can tell them in a podcast where my voice is there.
Yeah, that's why I took on the story time.
Thank you. Thank you for carrying the podcast.
But I think so that we can start resting your voice. Yeah. I think we could wrap up and do our thing of the week.
Thing of the week. We have a music for that now too. I think I just played it. Cool. All right, so my thing of the week is Soylent. If you guys haven't heard of it before, it's a meal replacement, and I'll let Katelyn tell you the rest.
Okay, I'll be honest. I still have like a negative connotation of the word because of Soylent Green.
Yeah. It's not an appealing name or concept for some reason.
No, it's not.
Just like an engineered vitamin, mineral, and everything supplement.
Yeah, it's basically like you can get it in drink form or in powder form, and it's like a meal replacement kind of thing.
But it's not like protein or anything. It's meant to take the place of...
It's not like a protein shake.
Everything that you need.
Yeah, it's got like a lot of vitamins and minerals, and it's very healthy for you, and this and that. And we sometimes have a hard time cooking for ourselves, especially like if we're mid-filming.
Well, it's like if we want to cook here, we want it to be good. If we want to eat out, we want it to be good. But sometimes we just need to eat something now with low effort.
Yeah, and like you can only have ramen so many times before you're like, okay, I'm in my early 30s.
Or cereal.
I can't be eating. Yeah. And so we're trying to find something. I think you were the one that like found it as an option. And it's funny because we've talked to a few other content creators and like, oh yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Because it's like...
Well, it's really popular in like Silicon Valley and places where you just work all the time.
Yeah.
And so I guess it's very appealing to content creators because we just work all the time.
Yeah, but it is nice because like it's not like a protein shake. It doesn't have that same weird aftertaste, and it doesn't feel like you're... Like protein shakes, I think, are good if you're working out.
Yeah.
But like...
They serve a purpose.
Yeah, but our purpose is not like to supplement a workout. It's to replace breakfast or lunch. You know?
Sorry, this sounds so much like a commercial. It's just like
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored. I'm just pretty excited about it because it's an addition to our life that simplifies things, and that's what we're all about.
Well, so okay, this is what we found we like the most. So you get the like cacao one, which is fancy chocolate cacao, and we make smoothies with it. So we'll put frozen bananas and peanut butter, and the cacao one, oh my god, it's like a dessert. It's amazing. So good.
And it is making it slightly more unhealthy, but it's so delicious.
It's so good.
I want it right now.
I even like the vanilla one. The vanilla,
just straight up.
Yeah, straight up. It tastes kind of like coffee.
Yeah.
And there is a coffee one, which we haven't tried.
Oh, now I want to have that right now too.
Just like chug a bunch. Okay. And so my thing of the week, and I feel like I've talked about this in person to a lot of people, but I don't think I've mentioned it on the podcast. So y'all have probably heard me mention before the Bon Appetit YouTube channel because I've talked about It's Alive with Brad, but I also love Claire on the Bon Appetit YouTube channel.
She's awesome.
Claire, she is a gourmet pastry chef. I think is her specialty. And there's a series on the channel, and you may have seen these pop up in your recommended, where she takes some sort of like junk food and remakes it gourmet style. And it's hilarious because there's like, it's like a formula that can be repeated over and over, and it doesn't get old because there's always challenges. Like, I don't know, it's just like really funny to see her get super frustrated and try to figure out things, but you're also like rooting for her to get it.
But also there's a great story arc built into the challenge. You know what I mean?
It's also funny because like she and Brad always antagonize each other. And in the Bon Appetit videos, everyone is in the test kitchen, so people make little guest appearances in each other's videos. Her latest one was remaking Peeps.
Oh, yeah.
Which was a really good one. I'm trying to think of what my favorite one was. I don't know.
Oreos was pretty good.
Oreos was good. I really like Cheetos also.
Oh, yeah.
Cheetos was good. But yeah, so it's really entertaining. And I think one thing that I get out of her videos, especially as we have been trying to figure out our style, is that the meat of the videos is her talking to the camera, like kind of testing things in the moment and talking about what's going wrong and what she's going to try to do next. And the part where she's actually doing it is sped through. It's like really quick, upbeat music.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. Here she's whisking some sugar. Here she's like blending this. Here she's rolling out that. And then it goes back to, real time, her like talking to the camera again. And it made me realize like that the making doesn't have to be what the video's about. For her, it's about like the struggle, and you get most of that while you're talking to her. Yeah. Not while she's like busy whisking stuff and cutting stuff. That part's kind of sped through. So I don't know. It's interesting. I love her channel. Well, not her channel. I love her videos on Bon Appetit. So we'll link to her most recent one. Yeah. Or like the playlist or something. Yeah.
Also, guys, thank you for sticking with us through this podcast as I struggle through it.
We're probably going to have a lot of cuts because there's a lot of coughing and throat clearing. Hopefully it won't be noticeable to you guys.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys will still give us those 5-star reviews on the iTunes store.
Pity 5 stars because Evan feels so bad. If you want to make Evan feel better.
Hey, I stuck with this. I made this happen despite being deathly sick. After this, I'm going to go to my fainting couch.
You're using those infomercial acting skills.
Yeah.
Racking up those medical bills.
So if you could also help us out by sharing this with a friend, a family member, or an enemy, who knows?
Yeah, maybe your enemy will become your friend.
Yeah. Like, hey, I know we're enemies, but you shared that wonderful podcast with me, and now I want to be your friend. That's most likely the thing that's going to happen.
I think that's a very uplifting story, and I think we should all do more of that in our lives.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.